Look at the headlines today. You see baby boomers fighting to keep their power. You see millennials complaining about the economy. You see Gen Z changing the rules of social media. But there is a group of people standing in the shadows, watching it all and saying absolutely nothing. They are the people born between 1965 and 1980. They are Generation X. For decades, they have been called the forgotten generation. They weren't loud enough for the news. They weren't tech-native enough for the new world, or so we thought. While the rest of the world was busy arguing, Gen X was busy working. They were the children who grew up without applause, without participation trophies, and often without their parents being home. Today, they are the CEOs of the world's biggest companies. They are the managers holding the economy together. They are the silent force that actually runs the world, while everyone else is fighting for likes on a screen. Why are they so different? Why don't they care about your approval? And why is their silence the most dangerous thing in the room? Today, we are decoding the psychology of Generation X. We are going to look at the latchkey kids who turned into the world's most powerful strategists. If you want to understand how power actually works in 2026, you need to understand the people who learned to survive before the internet existed.
In the 1970s and 80s, a new kind of child appeared. They were called latchkey kids. Why? Because they wore the key to their house around their neck on a piece of string. Their parents were at work. There was no internet, no cell phones, no after-school programs. When a Gen X child got home from school, they were alone. They had to make their own food, they had to finish their own homework, they had to solve their own problems. If they fell and scraped their knee, there was no one to cry to. They just had to get up and keep moving. Psychology calls this forced independence. Most generations today are raised with applause. Every small step is celebrated. But Gen X was raised with silence. They didn't get a trophy for coming in 10th place. They didn't get a good job for just showing up. This created a very specific kind of brain, a brain that doesn't need external validation to function. They don't do things because it looks good to others. They do things because they have to be done. They are the ultimate do-it-yourself generation. This independence is their foundation. While others are waiting for instructions, Gen X has already fixed the problem and moved on.
Generation X is unique for one major reason. They are the only generation that truly understands two worlds. They are the bridge. They are old enough to remember a world without computers, a world of paper maps, rotary phones, and library books. But they were young enough to learn technology as it was being built. They are digital immigrants who speak the language better than the natives. This gives them a massive psychological advantage. They know how to survive if the Wi-Fi goes down. They know how to have a real conversation without a screen, but they also know how to code the software that runs our lives. Because they lived in the analog world, they have a high level of patience and persistence. They know that things take time, but because they built the digital world, they have a high level of efficiency. In a meeting, a Gen X manager can see the big picture, the analog logic, and the details, the digital execution, at the same time. They are the translators between the old school and the new school. This double perspective is why they are currently the ones sitting in the captain's chair of most global industries. If you want to understand Gen X in one word, that word is whatever. This wasn't just a slang word, it was a psychological shield. Growing up in a time of Cold War fear, economic shifts, and rising divorce rates, Gen X developed a deep sense of cynicism. They saw the perfect 1950s dream crumble. They saw leaders lie.
They saw the positivity of the boomers fail, so they decided to stop believing in fairy tales. This whatever attitude is actually a form of stoicism. It means the world is chaotic and I can't control it, so I will just focus on what I can control, my own work and my own survival. They are immune to fake positivity. They hate corporate speak and motivational BS. They can smell a lie from a mile away. In today's world, where everyone is trying to perform happiness on Instagram, Gen X's cynicism is their superpower. They don't waste energy on fake smiles. They are realists. They are the people who say, "I don't care how it looks, does it work?" If it doesn't work, they move on. They don't cry about it. They just say, "Whatever," and find a different way.
Who is actually running the world right now? We see the famous Gen Z influencers and the billionaire boomer owners, but look at the middle. Look at the COOs, the project managers, the engineers, and the directors. Over 50% of leadership roles in the world today are held by Generation X. They are the workhorses of the economy. While boomers are retiring and millennials are seeking work-life balance, Gen X is just working. They have a quiet authority. They don't need to be the face of the company. In fact, they prefer to stay in the background. Why? Because the person in the spotlight is the one who gets attacked. The person in the shadows is the one who actually holds the keys. Psychology shows that Gen X leaders are highly pragmatic. They don't care about the glory, they care about the results. They are the ones who make sure the bills are paid, the products are shipped, and the systems are running. They are the adults in the room when everyone else is having an emotional crisis. They don't need your thank you. They just need the job to be done right. Because Gen X was raised with so much freedom and sometimes neglect, they became a very interesting kind of parent. They didn't want their children to feel as lonely as they did, so many of them became helicopter parents, constantly watching over their kids. But they also taught their kids one very important thing: skepticism. Gen X parents are the ones who tell their kids, "Don't believe everything you see on the internet." They're the ones who push for real-world skills. But here is the paradox. Even as parents, they remain invisible. They're the ones at the back of the school meeting, not saying much, but making sure the budget is correct. They have raised Gen Z, the most socially active generation, and while they might not agree with everything their kids do, they're the ones providing the safety net. They're the silent foundation for the next generation. They provide the stability that allows others to be loud. Why do we say Gen X is dangerous? It's because you can't manipulate them with attention. If you want to control someone, you find out what they crave. Most people today crave likes, approval, and validation. If you give it to them, they're yours. But Gen X doesn't crave your approval. They grew up without it. You can't cancel someone who doesn't care if you like them. You can't shame someone who survived the 80s without a therapist. They have a thick skin that is almost impossible to pierce. They're like marksmen in a room full of people throwing grenades. While everyone else is being loud and making a mess, Gen X is quiet, precise, and focused. They wait for the noise to stop, and then they make their move. They are dangerous because they are self-sufficient. They don't need the group to feel safe. They have been alone since they were 7 years old. A person who can stand alone is the only person who can truly be free. Generation X will probably never have a grand movie made about how great they are. They will never have a holiday dedicated to them. And that's exactly how they like it. They are the glue that keeps the world together. They are the ones who fixed the Y2K bug, built the modern internet, and are now managing the transition into the AI era. If you are a Gen Xer watching this, we see you. We know you're tired of being the only adult in the room, but the world needs your silence. It needs your whatever. It needs your grit. If you're from a different generation, look at the Gen X people in your life. Don't mistake their silence for weakness. Don't mistake their cynicism for lack of heart. They are the reason the world hasn't fallen apart yet. They were raised without applause, and maybe, just maybe, that's why they are the strongest of us all. Thank you for watching this deep dive. If you are part of the forgotten generation, subscribe and join us. Comment the year you were born below. Let's see how many latchkey kids are still running the show. Until next time, stay smart.